this is an honor that I truly did not expect. I'm just, again, so humble, and I think it's always great when you go last because all you have to really say is, I agree with everybody. um, I can tell you again, as was mentioned by another awardee, is that my mother was a nurse, and I certainly think it shaped my future in many, many ways. Um, the one organization, there weren't that many specialty organizations way back then, but the one organization she always belonged to was the Tennessee Nurses Association and the American Nurses Association. And so that was sort of my role model going forward. I have always been a member of the American Nurses Association, even though along the way I picked up a few other specialty organizations. I feel like the American Nurses Association, as well as the state and even the county or more local nurses associations, are our political future. I don't consider myself very political at all, but I feel like they are my voice, and we need to support them to the fullest extent. So while I'm out there teaching and practicing, I want those political types to get out there and do our thing, because I do think that we're one of the most politically strong groups in the country. We just have to, go forward with it. Thank you. I truly do love what I do, and people go like, how long did you say you've been a nurse? And I go like, almost 50 years. And they're looking at me like, man, she can still walk and talk and make sense. Oh, yes. And I do have quite a busy life. I actually work full-time at Harborview and part-time at Swedish Cherry Hill, mostly the Cherry Hill campus, but I also teach at school nursing, so I'm pretty busy. I celebrate every success that every nurse has, and I feel like I'm only as good as they are. So anything I do to teach them and move them forward, well, I get a lot of positives from that too. I strongly encourage them to move forward in their career. If you want to stay at the bedside, that is like the best thing ever. I mean, who could ever argue with that? But there are other things to do, and that's one of the great things about nursing is you have so many different careers as a nurse. And so, no one should ever be bored being a nurse. So you don't have time to be bored, really. But I just want to thank you so much. Again, I was like totally shocked. I've had many mentors along the way when I was a PhD student and to this very day, because I get to talk to her every once in a while. Dr. Pam Mitchell was my dissertation chair, and she didn't realize it for a long time, but I remember telling her one time when I think I was almost ready to graduate from UW. I said, you know what? I finally recognized that you wrote the first nursing textbook that I ever had at the University of Tennessee Health Science campus in Memphis. And the reason I remember that is because she had an unusual maiden name, and I remember on the front of the book it said Pamela Hose-Paul Mitchell. And then I got to know about her work as a neuroscience nurse and nurse researcher, and I said, okay, well, I've been in Tennessee for a few years. It's time for me to go somewhere else to get my PhD. So that's how I ended up in Washington State. And I left and I actually came back. And I've been back now like 17 years. But I've also worked at the bedside about half of that time. When I was going to UW, I was actually working every weekend in the neuro ICU as staff nurse. So I definitely remember on a daily basis what it is to be a staff nurse and how hard it is. And I've done a variety of things in nursing, so it's all difficult, but all very challenging and can be wonderful in many ways. And then, I have mentors around me that we've been collaborators in neuroscience nursing, like Dean Hillary Thompson. She is like the best friend I ever had. If we could bottle her, it would just be the most fabulous thing ever. And I've known her for many years because we were both neuroscience nurses in the American Association of Neuroscience Nursing. So I think you get a lot out of belonging to national organizations and local organizations, and I would encourage that, the fullest extent. And so I want to thank you again so much for this award. I know it's been a long day for some of you. I actually have to go back and record a lecture when I get home. So the work is never done, right? And thank you so much again. I was totally shocked and surprised. Thank you.